Hi, my name is Maria. I'm a children's clerk at Milford Public Library, and I have some fun fantasy books to share with you today. This collection that I have today features a lot of books that would be of interest to fans of the Lord of the Rings series, or if you're interested in anything by Jim Henson, such as The Labyrinth or The Dark Crystal. I've always had an interest in the creative process behind filmmaking. Some of my favorite things to watch were the bonus features on the Lord of the Rings DVD box set that we used to have, and I would spend hours just watching these artists create gorgeous costuming and weaponry and world building, just creating all of these beautiful creatures and backgrounds that were just stunning. And so when I discovered these books, I thought, wow, this is really similar to what I saw as a child that really inspired some of my own art. Now, the first book that I have today is called Fairies by Brian Froud and Alan Lee. It delves into the world of fairy and acts kind of as a bestiary with descriptions of different fairies from around Western Europe, primarily the UK and France. Brian Froud was one of the main artists behind two of my favorite movies, The Dark Crystal and Labyrinth. And his illustrations are just gorgeous. He is able to combine the beauty of the fairy world with some of the darker elements that you see in fairy folklore. The worlds of both of those movies are both beautiful and haunting. I love how Froud can combine those two elements to create worlds that are just so dreamy and beautiful. I mean, the illustrations in this book are just gorgeous. And the lore that is behind them as well on each page it's so wonderful. The fairy world is known to be a place that is very fickle. It can quickly turn from very beautiful to very sinister. And that is something that Brian Froud is able to capture perfectly in his artwork. Alan Lee tends to lend a more realistic element to the fantasy world. He's the main artist behind the Lord of the Rings movies, and a lot of his work has also been featured in some publications of Tolkien's work. His contributions to this book remind me a lot of the romantic environments of King Arthur and the Knights of Old. Although different in style, the combination of these two artists in this book create a really rich collection of fantasy that is perfect for those who are interested in world building, whether it be through writing or even something as simple as creating a D&D campaign. My second book is also by Brian Froud, and this one is called The Goblin Companion. This book showcases many of the goblins featured in the movie Labyrinth, the one with the ever-fabulous David Bowie. Again, the artwork in this book is stunning, but it is a little bit more whimsical than the first book. It's a little bit more grotesque almost, and the descriptions that go with them are equally as funny. If you're a fan of the Labyrinth movie, you're going to definitely enjoy this, but it's also a fun book just as a standalone, even if you haven't seen the movie. My next books are some hidden gems that I found here in the children's department. This book is The Book of Fairies, selected and illustrated by Michael Hague, and it's a collection of poems and stories about the fairy world. And this book is much more child-friendly than the first two books, but it still has those same gorgeous illustrations. It's just a really great collection of poetry about fairies and the fairy world. My next book is called The Dark Emperor and Other Poems of the Night, written by Joyce, Sidman, and illustrated by Rick Allen. And this is another book of poetry, this time exploring the mysteries of the forest after the sun goes down. Each poem is about nocturnal creatures that inhabit the forest, and with each poem comes not only a beautiful illustration, but also some facts about the creatures that are described in each poem. So I thought it was kind of neat to not only be able to see some beautiful poetry and illustrations, but also to learn something new about the creatures that inhabit the forest. My final book is called The Unicorn Alphabet by Marianna and is also illustrated by Michael Hague. Each letter of the alphabet features a legend regarding the mystical unicorn. And I had no idea, for instance, how many flowers were associated with the unicorn in medieval times. Again, this book features some gorgeous illustrations that really bring the legend of the unicorn to life. This is my favorite book that I've shared with you so far. This is one that I'm definitely going to be getting my own copy and having in my collection at home. Several of these books were checked out using our evergreen system. If you're searching for a book here at Milford Library and you can't find the copy that you're looking for, definitely use Evergreen to check out a book from a different library and have it delivered to Milford. That way that can open up a whole plethora of material that you might not be able to find here at Milford. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you found some books that you are interested in, and we look forward to having you come into the library.